scroll outside the plate. I actually could barely tell what state the license plate is from. I think it's Nevada. Is that true? Okay, I can just read like the bottom part of it, and I can't read the bottom of the. Exactly. Yeah. And so your license on registration insurance? Check that out. It's registered to your boyfriend?
No, this is my boyfriend.
Okay.
This is my car. Registered to my parents, but I'm not sure where it is.
It's registered to your parents. Okay, so you live in Nevada?
Yes, the car is registered to my mom.
Okay, and where do you live? You live in Tenafly.
We're just coming up with our friend who's in London.
Ah, I see. Who's not in the car? You're not from London.
I live in London. My friend lives in London. I'm here for
Okay. All right.
But I'm not sure what she's doing. I'm happy to spend time trying to figure it out.
Yeah, just the insurance card and the registration card. And where do you live, miss?
11 Newspaper Road.
Yeah. There's another friend? Just taking a wild guess. Where are you going to take us to today? Just hang out a little bit?
Yeah.
I stay for that?
I'm sorry. I don't know
Looks like it's from the Toyota dealership, that bracket.
Yeah.
It's probably been on as long as you've had the car.
I'm not sure where my doctor is. I'm registered. I have car insurance through Allstate. That's an old registration. I don't know where my one is.
But you did register it?
Yeah, my mom did. It's for my mom. Up at Bond.
Okay. Wow. Can you pull it up on your phone? Like just your insurance? I know obviously the registration you can't. She wants to try and send it to you.
That's from the city of Chicago. Right.
Yeah, what is it, like a permit or something, or you had it registered in Chicago?
Yeah.
Or you're just coming from your house in Tenafly? Is everybody staying with you? Here? Okay. Is everything alright?
Yeah, I'm trying to get to the lookout, so I'm trying to.
I'll be back with you in a second. I'm going to run the license plate, make sure it is registered since you don't have the documents. Okay? I'll be back with you in a second. Hey, Course, go with your last message. I was trying to transmit back to you when my portable wasn't working.
Let me see, Hauser. No, this might be the same artifact I have. Let's see.
Superman.
Hauser. Hauser. But. Oh, she's just doing flips. Good. Let's see. 2.4 damage. He's using Power Girl and Future Flash and Shazam. Here he is again. Bam! I'd use my knife. I'm gonna see what I can do, but I don't know who to put it on. Let's see. Oh, she's a one shot phase 1. Wow, just with her and him. Wow. Damn. Got him. 24 seconds left. How much you get? 6 million? Oh, I only had to get 4 million. It's around, huh? That's for Arcane.
My favorite thing about this vehicle.
Hit the wrong button.
hour quest while you're watching this. 27 souls an hour. As much as I want Terminator, I'm not saving souls.
Oh, in the Mortal Kombat? Hell yeah. I'm gonna try to get my account back. See my bro's fucking name.
Yeah, I
just
really like
catch
when
these
they do
in.
the roulette for the parties and shit, because I'm pretty sure most people would not show up for low-level dungeons otherwise, so that's kind of nice that they did that.
Exactly. I think they do it for raids later on too.
I don't know if we'll want to do that, but we'll have to see. I mean, if I have like a group
Raids
of us,
aren't like Warcraft is. There's not a ton of trash, and the boss fights are. I don't think as complicated. They're still complicated, but not as complicated.
So like Andy. Alright. Of course it crashes on me.
how did not get work? What do I need for? How do I not have freeze? Oh, I gotta do the quest. Oh. Well, fuck. I need to do the quest.
Shit, my fault. Man, my nose is running. Alright.
That explains that. You like playing World of Warcraft? Eh. I know it's something different. That's why I like Final Fantasy. I've heard of Black Mirror before, yeah. That Scotty thing might get us up. I think Goblin and Josh are trying to get me to play it.
There we go, there we go, there we go.
I know you can.
Fuck. This dude's able to hit her, damn.
There's no place to hide.
Fuck, you got me. Bam.
Not that I can't kill him, but just really get some bonus.
And my nose is running.
I gotta do my little 35 block after this so I can get free.
Nice, yeah. This magic technique.
There it is. This is gonna be hard as fuck. This fucking hill block shit. What? Yeah, you can have that. Fuck, a hill bug again. Hell yeah. I can't wait to get Black Manta, man.
I'm about to die.
Catwoman.
Yeah, it's like so molten core, like. Not for those things.
Robin.
It's gone now.
Last time, yes, sir.
Push yourself harder.
Fuck, bitch.
Spectrum on this guy?
Damn.
I don't think so. He just get out of his shit when he somewhere.
Yeah, motherfucker. Faces.
If you ever buy anything from Apple, you should use Wikibuy. It's a browser extension that automatically compares Amazon. Now, Black Faces PD.
Yeah, turn off the fucking...
No, get up now.
No.
Get out of the vehicle. Go ahead, get out of the vehicle for me. I'm giving you a lot of orders. Step out of the vehicle. Do it now.
Your own lawful orders?
Step out of the vehicle.
Okay,
Right here.
good. What do you mean, lawful? Let me look at the
Just
fucking
wait,
car.
wait right there, ma'am. Wait right there. Wait right there, ma'am. Wait in the car. Wait in the car, please. Wait in the car. Come out here. Wait in the car.
This is bullshit. Look at your own fucking order. You want to look at my own car?
Step. Look in the car.
Bullshit.
Have a seat in the car. Get in the car. Go ahead. Go ahead. Call the police right now. Did you by yourself? We have a sergeant showing up. Yeah. So we need to. See that? Yeah.
Whoa. Get my ass up. I'm gonna pay attention.
Station PD, you wake up. Right now, let 950 know, I mean, let 50 know that there is no mail. The female passed down the constant. Ma'am, can you get up? I need you to wake up. Who else is with you? Just you? What's going on for the last 20 minutes? No, I need you to get up. I need you to get up.
950 Central 49. There should be no mail with this vehicle, just a female passed out.
Yeah, no, get up now. Get.
And
so right now that 950 know, I mean that's good to know that there is no mail out here, but there is a female passed on the passenger seat. Hey, what's going on? What's happening here? We got a call that somebody saw a male throwing up on the side of the road, so he's gonna get hit. But we don't find the male, but we find a female passed out in the passenger seat. That's what we had got a call that somebody was. Yeah, so we're trying to wake this female up. Is this car up here? We're not sure. We haven't made contact with it yet. Yeah, so we're trying to wake this female up. Is this car up here? We're not sure. Get out of the vehicle. Go ahead and get out of the vehicle to me. I'm giving you a lot more and step out of the vehicle. Wait right there, man. Wait right there. Wait right there, man. Wait in the car. Wait in the car, please. Wait in the car. Come on, wait in the car. Wait.
I'll never ever stop.
Have a seat in the car. Have a seat in the car. Stay in the car. Go ahead. Go ahead. Call for a supervisor now. Only because she's not driving, but she is an employee of ours, so she can talk to supervisor. Where you at? I said Randy and I was saying this. So anytime, because you probably don't know her, but anytime there's an employee involved or any law enforcement like that, you gotta call supervisor no matter what. I didn't recognize her when she was passed out. That's why when we had her step out, that's when I said just leave her there and we just called for supervisor. So right now, just continue with your investigation. State police is up there. See if you make two files with him and see what's going on. We'll see if we can locate this male that was in the highway right now. Okay. So,
That's a good fight too, ain't it? Yeah. I'm trying to do 2 games at once.
she was driving. She been following her, and she watched her. She pulled over and she watched her go out of the driver's side into the passenger.
Got him. What?
She's on the passenger side right now.
Oh my god. How the fuck did you keep coming back to life?
Okay, go ahead and hold on. Hello? Okay, so we have 839 over here in a truck. The truck is on the side of the road. We have an independent witness that says she saw the female in the blue truck with 839 driving. And the female she jumped over to the passenger side of the vehicle. She was intoxicated with so many things. And the independent witness said that she was the only one in the vehicle and that she was driving. I don't even know why she was even following her. I do. Can you hear me? Hold on, buddy. Oh, and why are you following her?
Shit. Man.
She was at the, like, right before you get into the highway. And what I noticed was like people were honking at her, and when I turned, I was like, why are they honking? And I noticed she was like this. And I freaked out. I was like, oh my god, maybe something happened to her, you know, like you said, like the medical. So I honked.
Go ahead.
That's what I wrote down. And I was all like, are you okay? But then she went straight, and I was like, you know what? I need to go over and check up on her.
Alright, Sergeant, so I don't know if you heard that, but and as we saw, she was in the door, and I believe the way she described it is she was probably at Rover or North Right, and then she heard a lot of cars honking. So the truck didn't move, well, when she pulled up,
Shit. That's gonna be hard to fucking beat. Where the hell's what's his name at? My God. Live on YouTube. Live on YouTube at Big Mike. $11:06. Dude. What's up, Burst? What you doing? You in there? I've been taking medicine. That's just funny.
You've got no sense of humor.
You can't handle this much.
Good shit.
I'll show you funny.
Oh. 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 Damn. I was fucking around, just sitting there fucking around. Damn. I deserve that loss.
Have you been drinking?
Good.
Do you know him? Yeah. Ready. Ready when you are.
Sure.
Yeah.
I don't know if I would be ready to left. I don't know if I can.
There's no place to hide.
Jerry, I can follow you in my brother's place. You know what I'm doing?
I'll show you funny.
I have bad days like that.
Jesus Christ, I'm a sheriff.
I know.
I'm a constitutional officer.
Blow, 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 blow.
That doesn't have to read what it is. It's not like the old.
He said I'm gonna re-win.
You won't get any violations on your restricted
Sir.
Hmm.
Pardon? Pardon? Sir. You need to wake up and talk to me.
Poison ivy.
Hmm.
Probably enough to have that right now.
Darren had it. Yeah. We don't have access to it. The other sergeant who was in there has it, so. But they got his IDs and stuff like that, so he's been identified.
Well, can I just make sure that I know who it is?
Who else would it be?
Well, that I don't know. But I just want to verify.
Shit. Dropping shit.
Hopefully better.
You're doing better.
Yeah, John Salazar.
Deputy Chief here at Grant. So, real quick, you guys some more Vegas? Okay. We're gonna try to find out maybe some shit's going on. I'll let us know.
Right. And what I'm trying to just verify is make sure who you have. Who do you have?
Yeah, we got a photo coming.
Or just
we think it's on the roof.
Can I see this?
Yeah, we'll get you a photo here.
Okay.
Alright, so,
Good night.
Right, yeah. Let me, once I verify who's
Oh, understood.
Let me just verify who's here, and then... Are you Lieutenant Drake? I am not. Tell me who that is. Oh my gosh, okay. That is Ruben Hernandez. Yes, we just have, I have 2 shots. And then a driver's license. Right, okay.
anything you see to his face though is before we have contact with him. So we're just trying to put it all together.
We're trying to make sure that somebody didn't, that's him, that's your partner? That is my partner.
Kill.
Hey, what, is he okay? What happened to his face there?
Hey, he looks scuffed up, but you know, like I say, he's, that wasn't done here by us. That was before he made contact with him. So we'll make sure he gets checked and everything like that.
Who do we want to, do we want to get info?
Yeah, we'll find out.
He wanted to see a picture before he talked to us.
Okay.
So your supervisor's notified?
Yeah, let me call them.
We got the local agent coming here too.
Right, Burns?
Yeah.
Burns? Is that?
There's a big match right here.
Listen, I'm not going to answer anything right now. I have no idea.
How come you're not going to answer anything?
Well, I mean, I got to wait for, you know, I'm talking to my superiors and everything else to see.
Oh, she told the lieutenant you're coming down here to kind of shed some light on what happened.
Right. No, I'm here. And there's also going to be a special agent from the yard. I don't know if you know,
Yeah.
There's no place to hide.
get a call from him tonight? Someone called us. We're still trying to figure out who called us to say he was in trouble or something. It wasn't you?
Listen, I'm not gonna answer anything right now. I have no idea.
But
Find out which hotel he's in. Kind of nonchalant. Well, I mean, I got to wait for take the recruiters and everything else and see.
oh, she told the lieutenant that way and shed some light on what happened.
Right. No, I'm here. Come on.
He's not wanting to talk to us right now. Yeah.
Sure. Just gonna grab that. Right here. Got it?
Sounds good.
And take this inside.
Here we go.
I think
Hey, I know that you want to wait for chain of command. Before I leave, I just want to know if you're armed at this point.
Oh, yes, I am.
Okay.
Yes.
Sidearm issued.
Yeah, it's right. Right.
Okay.
It's my lock right here.
Yep. All right. Okay. Thanks. Hello.
Shit.
Hey, you got your crutch, right?
Yeah,
You can hold on to that. I'll just take this.
Okay.
You want me to secure it in the locker while you're doing your business?
Nah, I'll just, okay. What are we doing? What do you want to do with it? You want your meeting, obviously. I talked to your ASAC, I talked to your supervisor down here. Can you guys jump out and clear some things up?
Deputy Chief's coming. Yeah. He's been.
I'll talk to you. I've got a sidearm. You don't have anything else on you, right?
Damn
You
it.
don't have any more sidearms or anything? No. I'll take this to secure. I got his handgun settled, okay? I need to talk to him for just a little bit. Is there a room? Where do you guys want? You gonna take him up to? I saw the other guys up on the second floor. Let's not go there. Let's find your place right here.
Are you good? Are you going to pat it down or? No. Okay.
Yeah, hell yeah. Yeah, who's on, yo? Is it you, me, Mel? Or Bird? Which one of y'all's on?
No, just wait on the line. Okay? All right.
Oh.
Push yourself harder. Intimidation doesn't work on you.
Amy.
Hi. Driver's license, with insurance.
I don't have my driver's license on me. I'm out to job to you.
Yeah.
That's the PD.
Yeah. The reason I'm talking to you, I got
Damn.
doing 75.
You got me. What the fuck? That's crazy.
I'm sorry.
Do you have your driver's license on you?
I don't have it on me.
You don't have it on you?
No.
Okay. Alright. Just sit tight for me for a minute.
I'm sorry?
Just sit tight for me for a minute, okay?
Alright.
34 to 10. Give me a public service aid after.
Intimidation doesn't work on it.
Unit.
I'm the man of steel.
Station. I need you to send me some units over here towards Blumenstadt's house. Call in officers if you need.
Hell yeah.
Blumenstadt's house on Wangle.
Copy. Body camera may not have caught, he had to let the low ready, and he was at quite a distance. The body camera wouldn't have caught that, but my fucking reaction sure did. I jumped in the car and got the fuck back. And then I got witnesses that pulled up and said, he's got an AR in his hand. I said, okay, just get back. They're gone off scene, and I secured the scene. If we need them, I think we can be able to get them. I got them on body camera anyway. They came right up to me on body camera. My body camera's been going the whole time. Okay. We got it. Okay. Alright. 909 to all 900s per 902. Sheriff's Department is en route. Sheriff's Department SWAT team is en route. Again, 909 to all 900. Sheriff's Department is en route. Ottawa County Sheriff's SWAT is en route. Turn 902. If the subject comes out and fires upon us, we'll return fire. All units, copy. 906, 945, acknowledge. I didn't know you were coming up, man. You gotta let me know, man. I was fucking bust your ass. I don't know where the fuck this dude's at. What's going on, bro? I need everything, bro. I need to go get my other vest.
The guys are tracking me.
You did? I need to go grab my other fucking vest. I don't know who the fuck that is, but I told everybody to stay back. Thanks for coming, bro. Yeah, absolutely.
Green Lantern.
This is gonna be some fucking shit. Why, oh why, does it always have to be fucking me? It's always me. It's never not me. It's always me.
941 to 903.
Go ahead. Go ahead.
Is there a way you can tell Keith that this is not about him? I have multiple people coming down here saying that he's becoming crazy, thinking that we're after him.
Hey, this is Mark. Hey, we're not negotiating this, alright? I mean, you just heard what went over the radio.
On duty police officer arrested for the look at that fucking team. Jesus.
Started backing it up. I backed my car up, and then I called for more units, and then I went to get out, and he backed up towards my car again, like backing it up, and I almost hit my car a second time, so I backed up all the way here, told my lady to back to stay, and then waited for the officer to go and see him. These two officers were contacting the driver's side of the officer on the passenger side. Okay. You have in-car video or just body cam?
Sleep.
I'm Trooper Lutz with the Highway Patrol. How are you? What's going on today?
You tell me.
Well, I think you were the one that was involved, so I think you might have a better understanding as to why we're all here today.
No, I just got pulled over by a bunch of vehicles.
Okay.
Swiped their vehicle, and when I looked at the damage, it was more on this side than my side, so I was making a left turn, and they possibly might have swiped me, so I pulled over with them. I asked him, I said, how do you want to do this? He said, well, I'm going to file a complaint. I said, well, that's your choice. We can call him, have him here, show up. I said, or we could do, and get it from there, and we said, okay, well, we'll do it that way.
God damn it.
So when he said, okay, we'll do it that way, you mean we'll do it TR310? And you left, even though you said you wanted to do it TR310?
He said he wanted to 309.
309, okay.
Whatever.
And then he said he'd be in contact with me.
Alright. Just hang tight for me real quick so I can reposition my car, okay? Can everybody kill their blue lights, please? DJ, is this your car? Yes. Do you mind killing your blue lights, please?
Oh my God. Fuck.
Asked me to call them. Got here. I don't want to take those.
Good job. Way to look out for your guys.
Stand in front of my car. Stand in front.
Yeah, I got you. Don't push me.
I'm not pushing you.
You
I'm advising you where my car is, okay?
I knew where your car was.
I'm not quite sure that you did.
Yeah.
You're walking the wrong direction.
I wasn't.
Okay.
Bad coat. Yeah, man.
How OP Bernie effect is, right? It's OP. Super block, he heals. He heals himself from super block. That's OP, man. You know healing is super OP in this game. You guys know that. And again, look at this, only level 39. You're gonna see what it does. Special ability. So if like whoever gonna hit you with a special move, he's gonna tag in and he's gonna do massive damage too. It does massive damage. So yeah, man, that's why he's better than Wonder Woman and Cyborg. But the thing about Cyborg is Cyborg, you can still use him maybe in more, I don't know, because now with the healing it changes things, because now he can fight Scarecrow. But enough talk, man, let's just see. I beat freaking Legendary Team yesterday, man, that I never could beat before with none of my cards. So let's see. Alright, let's find a Legendary Team. Can you look at my account real fast? Maybe before I leave, I'll do it, but not right now. I just want to prove my point with the brain effect. I'm going to find a dark side that has crazy health and resistance and all that crap and defense. I'm going to use burning and you count the numbers. You're going to see how it works. If he's not dead
Your
after
madness
the special
stops here.
Trust me, man, this card is OP, man. I'm not saying he's the best in the game, you know what I'm saying, but he's definitely OP. He's definitely
There's
good.
no place to hide.
Without a doubt, he's good. Is he great? I'm saying once you get that artifact, yo, Pixelated, what up, man? How you been, brother? Good to see you again, man. Am I late? Yeah, no, about 10 minutes late.
Damn, man, fucked up.
Here he is, Legendary Darkseid. Secrets. My friend Secrets team, almost 600K. Watch this. Look at it. Look at the health on this bastard, man. Now watch this burning effect. Max resistant too or no? Yup. Pretty much max resistance. Watch what the burning effect is going to do to Secrets team. And again, my Superman is not even optimized. I'm going to show you for those that just joined. He's not optimal. Look at his attack. It's low. It's really low. It's really low because I have trash talents. See? All these talents are trash. They're all useless. All these talents is just pure garbage. Useless. Now I do got decent crit damage. It's not good though. You guys know from 270 to go to 300. That 30% is huge. You guys know that. Bounce attack is good and his crit is good. That's about it, man. He's not, and he's 5-star. He'll be 6-star soon, though. Watch, guys.
How did he get 6-star?
You guys already know this team is hard to beat, though. Is he on KOM's level? Nah, I wouldn't say that, man. No way. Aquaman is like Aquaman and Joker to me are still the best damage dealers in the game. But he's good. Superman is good. I think people are hate. Oh no, not like this. Well, we still got the freaking. I wanted a whole team, but it's okay. We still got the freaking. I forgot you can't just tap in the team. It doesn't work.
Damn, look at this team.
I forgot he could do that too. Hold on. I'm not going to take this top down. This is what I hate, this barrier, bro. This barriers.
Push yourself harder. Intimidation doesn't work.
Watch this now.
Damn it.
How long is this barrier? I'm gonna die. You have a barrier. I should have tagged out.
Which part of you hurts the worst?
That shit is OP, man. You can't even hit him. It's okay. I played it wrong. That's my fault. And then it's like killing me.
Yeah.
Wow, yeah. That barrier is insane, man. Look, it did no damage. Stop one. Yeah. I thought he only heals if he has Batman. I didn't know he could heal. I'm gonna die. Look, I can't even hit him. It's insane, the push block. I can't even hit him with something. I'm dead.
No.
Got lucky, bro. But I played that one wrong, so I couldn't really show you guys. Because that barrier came, I forgot, and then I couldn't hit him, but I wanted you to see the bro, if he didn't have that shield, he would have died in one combo. He would have just died. He would have got beat up. But I still won. And I couldn't win that before. All right, no barrier. Let's look at this Arkham. Nah, he don't have high health. I want somebody who got high health. This is gonna be easy. Watch. Level 70 Black Man, get out of here.
You feel me?
Yeah, barriers. It's not.
Yeah, bigger things to do. Fuck, man.
You could die just from holding block.
Damn, I could have won that.
Look at the damage.
I don't know what the fuck happened.
I want to do the spectral 3 so you see the numbers.
We ain't done playing yet.
Maybe she has high health. Well,
I'm done pushing back.
look, and now he's burning. Look at the numbers, look. Told you, see, Darkseid would have died. I'm telling you, bro. So look, another reason why he's the best Justice League member, because I said I one-shot him, I one-shot P1 already. So if you're doing T6, you can one-shot Brainiac with him, right? He's a monster in Arena. He's a monster in Classic, not Classic, what am I saying? Chuck's Arena. So he's well-rounded. Here it is again, another broken Darkseid. He's well-rounded. You know what I mean? Like, there's characters, like Aquaman's another one who's well-rounded because he revives himself. So that's really good. How many times have that saved you? Dying and then coming back with Aquaman. So the fact that he heals, so he's tanky at the same time. He has the defense, he has the attack, so he's strong. He's like well-rounded, man. He's well-rounded. That's what makes him so good. He's not like a glass cannon. Sal, where you at? Yeah. You know I'm loving this update, man. Nah, you'll have him in no time, Sal. You'll have all epics on him in like 2 weeks. Level 70 everything. Just keep secret scheme, man. But watch, bro. Telling you, bro, this guy is
Yeah, shit.
great. Look at Darkseid.
Yeah, shit.
No, I gotta be careful because now
I'm done.
Yeah, damage.
I'm not worried. I'm done. Oh, no, man, that's cheap.
I am Lord of Apocalypse.
That's so cheap what he just did.
Damn it. Look, son.
You're still burning. gonna let Superman tag in. Right. Trying to hurt me. Trying to hurt me, clown. And the cooldown is a good thing that he gets cooled down.
Oh my god, I didn't do fucking missile tag.
Let me just get rid of him. I'm gonna tell you why it's a good thing after this fight. Oh, yeah, I forgot he did. That thing came out of nowhere. I didn't even see the red on the bottom.
Intimidation doesn't work on you.
This barrier, man, this dark side. Yo, what? I'm supposed to heal. It rocked me. I
Push
didn't
yourself
heal.
harder.
I super blocked that. Taking my time, they broke race, man. What you mean they broke race?
Batman.
Motherfucker.
Yeah, Assassin Starling looks amazing. I seen that. My man said Kaka. Nah, they robbed me though, dog. I hit the super shit.
Wow, that bomb,
It's
man.
like what, Darkseid? You can't do nothing against Darkseid.
Oh my god.
You can't do
Yes.
super block. Let's fight this team. Darkseid is the best arena character in the game right now. There's nothing more broken than the freaking shield, the thing raining down on you, it interrupts super moves. He's so broken, man. I've never seen a character in any game, mobile or console, broken like Darkseid. But he can't do no damage.
Let's see, this bitch do true hit. Let's see, yep.
Darkseid is overrated, not for raids. I mean, not for arena, bro. What are you talking about? Look what just happened. You didn't see I just used my shield and I didn't heal?
Yes.
See, without that barrier, I got it. Do something. I'm gonna heal myself. I didn't do that. I was holding a super shield, man.
Missing.
Punch. Like a glitch or something. See? So this is what I'm saying. This is why this cooldown is good. Because now he can't tag in and die. If there's no cooldown, he'll tag in and die. Get out of here. You see, that's why I like the cooldown. He would have tagged in and he would have died. So that 30-second cooldown gives you like a little strategy when you're using him in this arena. Because that really don't matter for raids. Because raids, you're going to keep Superman in there the whole 3 minutes.
Oh my god, motherfucker. Jesus Christ. Some bullshit, yo.
Yeah, bro. Yo, Big Mike. Big Mike. Yeah, this dude got to get blocked, man. That must be soccer or something, man. My man's trolling too hard right now. Don't worry, Tony. We're going to get him out of here real quick. I'm going to give him one chance, though. I'm going to time him out only for a little while. If he does it again, there's your warning. You do that again, that's it. You're going to get banned. You're going to have to come show up with another screen or something. Yo, what up, Mike? I don't know, man. For me, if you could one shot, then the character is useful. Because I'm doing T6. Look at this stupid team again. I'm going to fight it, man. But damn, this team is so annoying. Darkseid is so annoying, bro. He's not overrated. It's annoying to fight him, bro. That barrier, man. Forget about the other stuff. That barrier is so freaking cheap. But look, like I said, these are optimized characters. for the most part. Look at how much health he has, man. Probably resistance too. Yeah, look, resistance and health. Bro, once Superman when you unlock that artifact right here, when you unlock his artifact, bro, that's when he becomes a real monster. He's the only one who gets that. He gets plus 200% attack. That's huge, man. That's huge. That's huge. I'm calling it right now that if you optimize Superman to the best way possible, and you do the best gameplay possible, with that level 10 artifact, people are going to do 10 million damage with him in raids in T8. Yo, Vanish, what up, Vanish? People are going to do 10 million. I'm the first person to say people are going to do 10 million damage with this guy. Once he's optimized, everything level 70 and fully optimize his talents, which would be crit chance and crit damage, all crit chance and crit damage talents, no defense, max tag, good, like 69% fast attack, and his attack is has to be like, I'll say like maybe almost 7k attack, 69 something, maybe 72 in that area. You know, from 69 to 72 in that area, his attack, you could do it because it's legendary. His attack is higher than everybody else's, than the regular gold. His attack is higher than Supergirl's, you know, so it could be done. You might have to sacrifice maybe some fast attack, but it could be done. Anyways, I said 10 million, I call it. People are going to do 10 million with him in raids. Oh no, what happened? What happened to that team? Why it went
Hell
away?
yeah.
Why that legendary team went? Oh man.
Man, I got my ass whooped.
10 million easy. I say so, man. What I really wanted, guys, was Brainiac Superman. You know, the Brainiac skin with the purple S and all that. I wanted him to be a legendary card. But then at the same time, it would have cost so much money because I have the gear materials just ready to use them. But then it would have cost so much money. So in a way, this BVS was like a curveball. It was out of left field. But in a way, it made me happy because, oh my God. I'm telling you, man, I kind of don't want to fight him. They made him into a... See, you could do him either way. You could make him a tank. You could make him a hybrid build. You could make him a damage dealer. That's why I love this card. But you know what I'm saying? In a way, I'm happy because I already had him at 5 stars. And he was at level 50 before the update. So to take him to 70 wasn't much. You know, better than starting at level 5 or level 1 or level 20. Yo, what up, gaming? Back. I'm gonna fight this team anyway. Because I already fought Darkseid. I won once and I lost once. Hold on. Look at this! This guy's a monster.
Don't make me hurt you.
Oh, I forgot I had the shield. Oh, look at that! It's a monster, man! Look. Nah, BVS is top 10 for raids, but top 5, no. Alright, yo, Boozy, what up, my dude? Here's how I see it so far. I don't know, man, if it's Aquaman or Joker. Because my damn Joker beats Grodd with 1 minute left. Like, I think my best time to one-shot Grodd, which was like, what, 5.8 million? Because I'm doing T6. I had like 1 minute and 18 seconds left. And Grodd was dead. And I think this is without, or with, this might have been with.
The fuck? What? Wow. Fuck, nigga. Yeah. I can't believe I lost that many in a row. Let's chill up. Oh, I didn't mean to put him in there. Shit. Whoa. Color too. Fuck, nigga. Whoa. Man. Damn. Fuck! I tagged in, died. Damn. fuck that team. I need to start winning. Here we go. Yeah, need some health. Let's knock this bitch out. Bam. Put shield on. Punch him out. One shot. Oh my god, dude. Fuck. Damn it.
This might be my favorite murder.
Oh my god. Damn. Damn, everybody's watching, man. Jesus Christ. Feel bad for y'all niggas. Thank God ain't nobody watching. Oh. Here we go. Yeah, hell yeah. Let's shoot this one. It's 9,000. Take camera up, man. What are you working with that? Both of them motherfuckers. Yeah. So I pretty much took it.
Scarecrow.
What time is it? 12.
What does Sueñito mean?
Sueñito? Microsoft sent shock and awe over the world at the Game Awards with a surprise and reveal of the look and the name of the next generation Xbox due to release in holiday 2020. This showed that the new Xbox in form and as a team is ready to truly fight for top podium in the market. And new information has surfaced that will guarantee that the new Xbox fulfills those promises. This is Colt Eastwood. I've got brand new information of what is inside the next Xbox and what you can expect to get from the console. The sources will be linked in the description and other source videos will be linked at the outro. If you're new here and like what you're seeing, subscribe to the channel and join to support the content. I have a lot to cover, so let's get to it.
What you're about to see is being built to take full advantage of Xbox Series X.
Teraflops 5. Now he's got 16 gigabyte. Man, it's 12.
The Xbox Series X is the upcoming next-generation Xbox from Microsoft. It is a literal monster, standing at an authoritative 12 inches tall and nearly 6 inches wide and 6 inches deep. It has a UHD disk drive, a slightly smaller controller with textured triggers, stronger thumbsticks, a better D-pad, and a dedicated share button, which means it will also have the full-function game DVR to capture game clips at 4K, 120Hz with HDR at full quality. so you can show your friends what gaming on the Xbox Series X looks like. The console can be placed vertically or horizontally and has a top vent grille with a green LED light to highlight this massive case, vacuuming heat from a 300-watt power supply and high-temperature components from AMD, which include a Zen 2 CPU clocked at 3.5 gigahertz, over 8 times faster than the Xbox One, and a GPU from Navi with RDNA architecture for real-time hardware-accelerated ray tracing, PC quality physics simulations on the fly, and more AI on screen, boasting a reported 12 teraflops of compute power. Not 2 times, but 4 times more graphically powerful than the current Xbox One X. The Xbox Series X has a memory pool of 16 gigabytes of GDDR6 RAM, next generation from the Xbox One X, with at least 12 gigabytes available just for gaming. This
Bridge crew, listen up. I need a course back to Earth. There's a lot of people counting on us to get them there. Everything is fine.
Whose dog is this?
That guy died. What the hell's going on?
Should we be scared?
If you want. You're supposed to say no, you prick.
If there are people to blame, they shall be blamed. I know nothing of the day-to-day goings-on. That has literally nothing to do with Herman Judd. Okay?
The passengers are angry. We've got an S-storm brewing, and this a-hole is not helping.
She's my favorite, is she?
I suppose you are head of mission control, and I guess what they're saying is that you're not in control of the mission.
Bit of an update. The 3 injured passengers no longer injured.
Well, that's a bit of good news.
No, they're dead.
Probably should have led with that, Tony. Well, you are flexible. You are... Oh, it's broken.
Good morning, Captain. Oh, you look haunted.
I want answers. What are NASA saying? Is NASA saying? Is it is or isn't? What is they saying?
This means 4K 60 is being offered on every big game instead of in 2017, Microsoft promising 4K or 60 FPS. This is all connected to a proprietary NVMe SSD storage solution that is directly linked to all of this processing and graphical power, which translates to faster loading times, essentially eliminating them. And Game World's loading in instantly with no pop-in or loading times much longer than a few seconds. The latest news for the Xbox Series X comes from data miners and tech experts that have dug into the promise of proprietary API, which in other words is software that is programmed to work specific instructions on its own. This API is variable rate shading, or VRS, for the graphics engine that previously was only available on top-end desktop CPUs and GPUs, coming in 2020. Variable rate shading is a feature which allows game developers to dynamically and selectively reduce the load on the GPU by adjusting the level of detail in parts of the frame, and especially those parts of the frame where you'll likely not notice it. Developers can choose to lower the graphics load on the outside edges of the frame, behind visible objects, or away from view, pushing more power and more detail where they need it. All of this is easy on developers and mostly automatic, giving a massive performance edge to the Xbox Series X over the PlayStation 5. We're talking extra frames or avoiding major frame dips while retaining the highest quality visuals on screen thanks to variable rate shading. This API is only available to the latest 2020 desktop PC hardware, and as far as data scrubbing is concerned, there is not a single trace of this being used in the upcoming PlayStation 5. The Xbox Series X is also standard with variable refresh rates, which will allow frame rates to run smoother on your TV even if they happen to dip. This is also in thanks to an HDMI 2.1 port. which currently on console is only in the Xbox One X. The new Xbox Series X will minimize latency by leveraging technology such as Auto Low Latency Mode, or ALOM, and dynamic latency input to make the Xbox Series X the most responsive console ever at your TV and at your controller. Toward the end of the video, we're going to take care of some of the major concerns that people have with the Xbox Series X, but this information fills in the gaps that mostly secure the Xbox Series X as a full 4K 60 FPS console with enough power, tech, and software solutions to push next-generation games at high settings with top performance and little to no loading time, even booting up a game in 3 seconds. It was brilliant for Microsoft to go out on a limb and show the Xbox Series X this early. Expect them to reveal the full console and its affordable companion, the Lockhart, a diskless console with 2 times the graphics power of the Xbox One X. Microsoft showed that Xbox Game Studios is working on AAA blockbuster content as well as a diverse set of games for everyone. And it looks like, without compromise, that Xbox Series X will be the place to play next generation. This is Colt Eastwood. Thank you so much for watching. I've spent this past few months talking about Project Scarlet, trying to convince and describe what the Xbox Lockhart and Anaconda are, and now Microsoft made my job so much easier by showing the Anaconda, which is the Xbox Series X, the world's next most powerful console. A lot of people are asking me what I think of the physical design of the Series X. I was caught off guard. It's a huge rectangular prism, broadside with no grooves, flanges, curves, or accents. Why? I thought. Then I heard Phil Spencer say essentially, quote, "Don't worry about form, I want function." Phil asked for a total powerhouse with no loud fans and no heating problems. I expect great things from this console. So these are some of the concerns that people are bringing up. And by the way, I'm just going to be calling this thing the X when it comes out, like I call my Xbox One X the X right now. And no, I truly do not think that people will be confused. Let me explain this. In holiday 2020, when the X Series comes out, there will be displays and stacks of those consoles in stores. They will be the hot item of the holiday. The Xbox One S and X from last year will either be already sold out or only just a couple in stock. Microsoft is likely halting production of the Xbox One next summer. We also haven't seen the retail box for the new consoles, and that alone will make things very clear. To assume that soccer moms or grandmas are too dumb to buy the right console, in the rare instance that that happens, remember they can always return or exchange it, no big deal. But the old Xbox One consoles will likely be priced at $300 and under at the end of 2020. The store clerks will know what's going on. It's just silly to wonder about who will be confused or worry about who will be confused. The naming convention for Xbox is nuts, I'll agree. I bought an X in 2017, I'll buy a new X in 2020. The real issue here is solely referring to them, like, yeah, my X from 2017, or hey, that's my Xbox One X. But is it really worth the concern? Like we always do with Nintendo products, we just enjoy them. We learn the name and we move on. I'm excited. I cannot wait to hear more in spring 2020, but I'm expecting to hear even more spec leaks to come out before 2019 is over. If you learned anything new here today or just enjoyed the video, let me know by liking and subscribing to the channel. Things are growing fast here and I'm on my way to 80,000 subscribers. I have a Patreon for early access videos where I share screenshots and designs, and joining the channel gets you that same access. Follow me on Xbox and Twitter at Colt Eastwood. I respond to messages there each week and love to hear your feedback about the content or anything that I may have missed and stuff that I get wrong. I'll see the rest of you in the comment section. Have a great holiday, and remember, whether you're on Santa's list or not, be nice.
I'm working to make each day a little sweeter.
ADP simplifies HR, benefits, and payroll for Magnolia Bakery, so employees like Sarah can achieve what they're working for.
Bone, it's a very hard material, and it shapes real slowly. So does ivory. Bone's harder. Ivory is gorgeous, and it was traditional. Martin used ivory. Gibson used bone, and that's why for me to use tusk on this Strat for my own guitar was something new. I'm going to use an off-the-shelf Tusk nut. It's already cut with string slots and looks like this. It has a nub on the bottom so you can use it on a replacement neck that has a flat nut slot, or on a vintage style that has the curved slot like this one does. To use it, I'll need to remove that with a file. This is 80 grit and 120 grit, double stick gold paper stuck right to the fretboard. And that'll give me the really true radius of this fretboard in a jiffy. And I'm down here trying to fit it. It fits in there. Man, I couldn't have got a better fit if I made this from scratch. I even like the spacing, so I'm happy with this. If you replace a lot of the man-made nuts, Corian, micarta, with Tusk, it's going to sound better. If you replace it with bone, it's going to sound better. Tusk is the closest thing to bone that I found that's man-made. Now let's get 6 strings on it and see if it buzzes. Go, man, go. That's low up here. On the low E string I have like 70 thousandths. The radius is off down at this end. That's what I have to do now, is adjust the saddles a little bit. I'd want to be able to pull that radius gauge up and touch the outside strings and touch the middle, and the middles are too low, so I'm going to start raising those up, but not at pitch. You can lower them under tension, but I don't like to raise them. And generally, even to lower them, I'll often slack it a bit, just to keep all the wear off that teeny little bit of screw thread that's in this stamped piece of metal. That's darn close to being perfect right there. I just sort of lucked out. So you have to set the radius at the bridge to correctly get it at the nut end. It's a balancing act. Nut, bridge, nut, you kind of do them together. I'm a little tall all the way across. That makes me happy because now I can lower them. If I had to rush out the door and play this thing right now, I probably could make it through the night. There's a little gap underneath the nut. The nut could be a little too thick and not dropping down all the way, so I'll take a little thickness off, and I might as well clean up the radius too, because it could be the center that's holding it up. I want to be able to push this thing down into the slot and see it made it at the bottom. Now that I've got a good fit, I'm going to knock those sharp edges off, and to protect the finish, I'm masking off. If you work on the nut when it's in the guitar, if it's in the neck, you should tape off around it. Otherwise, you're bound to slip with the file, and you're going to cut into the wood. I use drafting tape on this, and on almost all finishes. It's really low tack. I'll put the drafting tape down first and then get on top of that with a heavier tape to protect it from the files. What I'm doing here is just rounding off those sharp edges. The motion is a lot like rounding a fret. I worked my way up through the grits. This is 800 grit gold, getting those little fine scratches out, and then I'm buffing it with medium compound out of the tub, and all the rough sharp edges are gone, and it's buffed on the ends and buffed across the top, and it feels good and looks good. This is almost like cheating. And I'm going to string it back up. You don't need a lot of glue to hold a nut in. In fact, I'm just using shellac here. It'll come apart easier if I want to take it out later. I can take that pre-slotted Tusk blank and have it in this guitar in less than a half an hour. Off-the-shelf nut making with Tusk.
It is Friday, December 13th. Let's talk PlayStation. Boy, oh boy, do we have a lot to go over. This is going to be a good one. First, we'll start with our December PS Plus games. As a reminder, it's Titanfall 2 and Monster Energy Supercross. Plenty of time to download either of these games or add them to your library. Now, let's start with the Game Awards. I think we have to do that. The event was last night, and real quick, if you remember, on Tuesday we had a State of Play, which I did a recap impressions Q&A for already. It's the upload right behind this one if you didn't see. But in that State of Play, we saw a quick teaser for Ghost of Tsushima, and then it was promised that we would get a full trailer at the Game Awards, and that's what we got. So starting off, we got a full trailer of Ghost of Tsushima that looked not only very good, but we got a promised release window of summer 2020 on PlayStation 4. So I know this still gets a bit confusing for some people, This is still a PS4 game. I don't know why so many people think it's for PS5, but still for PS4, and we don't have a complete release date, which I felt was still too early for that, but we do have a window of summer 2020. So keep in mind, this is very much so, in all likelihood, our very last major PlayStation 4 exclusive before we usher in that new generation PlayStation 5. And I think the trailer was, I think this was the best footage of the game we've seen so far, whereas the other two trailers, good, but this had a lot more quick cuts to different clips of footage, you know what I mean? Giving us a better idea of how the game plays in different scenarios, but I thoroughly enjoyed it. Now, this is a good segue, though, because another game that was announced, Godfall, this is a looter shooter, not even looter shooter, looter slasher they're calling it, AAA quality, so it looks very good, but it might imply that it's a smaller scale title where it might be free-to-play or $20, $30 some odd dollars. But it was announced for PC, the Epic Game Store, and PlayStation 5. Now, this is very significant because technically, this is our first specifically announced game for PlayStation 5, which it might sound a bit odd to you because I also did a video about PS5 confirmed games, but in that video you'll notice it's very important, the wording there. A lot of games that were announced and confirmed for PS5, the wording is that, hey, this game's coming to next generation platforms. This is our first game announced publicly on stage during an event with the label PlayStation 5. And also, keep in mind, at the front row at the Game Awards was not only Mark Cerny, but our new head of Sony Worldwide Studios, Herman Hulse. So very much they were good to go on this. That is a announced PlayStation 5 title. And it's probably a timed exclusive. It'll come to the next Xbox at some point as well. But it's apparently going to be ready for PS5's launch, or probably a little bit close to it, I'd imagine. And that's what's significant here. But this is another good segue to the last, probably the largest announcement at the Game Awards. Totally unexpected, but Microsoft showed off their next-gen Xbox, and they gave it a name. Xbox Series X. So Phil Spencer came up on stage, talked a little bit about the next-gen platform, showed this very small 2-minute clip, some footage, the box arises, they show us what it looks like, then we get an Xbox Series X game, Senua's Saga Hellblade 2, that is probably not going to be available on PlayStation 5. The footage looks good. They're claiming that very much is in-engine, not CG, pre-rendered, or anything like that. It looks very impressive, and I wouldn't sit here and say that it doesn't look like realistic footage, because this is a good idea of what we could potentially see. These machines are very powerful, or more so, Xbox Series X is very powerful. So, Microsoft did do a little, actually, I believe it was GameSpot that had the scoop here, but we have some slight details on it. They didn't give us any specifics, but some of the key things that we can take away from this next-gen platform. 12 teraflop GPU, pushing it to be the most powerful console. 4 times the CPU of the outgoing X1X. There is a share button on the controller now. The controller didn't change all that much, but they do have a dedicated share button now, which Phil Spencer went out of his way to say we didn't invent that or anything. That's been there before, implying, kind of referencing PlayStation 4, not directly, but the share button's there now because apparently it's important to customers. Can pause and resume multiple games, so that was also a sticking point there. They didn't talk too much actually about the SSD, where it seems like a lot of what we've been hearing about PS5 is that Sony's really going to play to the marketing about how you can load and start games instantaneously, no load screens. That didn't seem as big of a push here, but we still have to see a bit more of the box. They made it a point to keep talking about that full backwards compatibility because Microsoft's been pretty good about that so far. You've got your original Xbox games, 360, and now X1 support as well. That was expected, but Microsoft already had those software emulators laid out for 360 and original Xbox games. Now the design of the box, this is twofold because it was also pretty important that they kept mentioning how quiet this thing is. It's about as quiet as an Xbox One right now or an Xbox One X. Basically, you're not going to be able to hear this thing. You shouldn't from a reasonable distance, and this thing looks quite interesting. I mean, what's funny is that when we saw this right at the Game Awards, I thought, oh man, the internet's going to chew this up, but it doesn't seem like that. I'm actually thoroughly surprised. There's some memes floating around, but it's not getting chewed out to the point of how badly I thought it would be. And I'm not really sure how to feel about it either. Now, you can lay it vertical or horizontal, so if you're looking at all the imagery where it's just vertical, it can be laid horizontally. The air is going to be pushed out from that top vent. I would imagine if it's vertical, I mean, they're going to have some sort of mesh right underneath the vent so dust doesn't just completely cluster into that box. And it does sound very powerful. Now, the teraflop rating, though, I mean, it's impressive, no doubt, but that doesn't tell the full story. Teraflop is always this general rating that doesn't really factor in certain SDK features and certain proprietary tech that may help or not help game development and what you can achieve in your software. That's very important. I mean, that's why something like PlayStation 3, for example, struggled for so long, just because of the architecture and the SDKs that were available in the early years of PS3. So hearing 12 teraflops and then worrying about where PlayStation 5 might land once Sony starts talking their numbers, I wouldn't worry about that too much yet. And as I've cautioned already, I wouldn't worry too much at all about which one's more powerful, because it really is going to be about that software at the end of the day, which Microsoft also is being very forward. This is a games machine. It's almost like they want to downplay what the box looks like in case you don't like it. They're just saying this thing is all about function over form. It's going to be quiet, and we're focusing on games. And thank God, because we all know how much of a disaster 2013 was for Microsoft, and so I am all for them really going for it. And this box is, you know, make what you will of it. I know you might be asking why are we talking so much about Xbox, but it's very important that we talk about one of Sony's direct competitors. It just feels weird to somewhat ignore it. But yeah, it looks... I still don't know how to feel. I guess I'm indifferent. I'll say that. I don't think it's a very good-looking box, but I also don't think it's necessarily that either. I think, to be honest, I think X1X had and X1S had the best console design, very close to 360. The name of the box is getting the most heat, probably. Xbox Series X could be very easily confused with Xbox One X, and there might be some tough struggles at retail in those early years where retail associates are asking that grandmother, what do you...
As we got into it, the more times we visited Argentina, the more people we met in Argentina, the more files we discovered, the more newspaper reports we looked at from the time. It became pretty obvious that the death in the bunker was nothing but, well, fiction. Or maybe somebody died in the bunker, but it wasn't Adolf Hitler.
Or is it that that's what a lot of people would have liked to have believed, and that's how they would have liked the history to be written? And we remember how Hugh Trevor Roper was duped by the Hitler Diaries.
I mean, I have no idea why Hugh Trevor Roper was actually chosen by the Secret Services to do the death of Hitler. I mean, the guy was an Oxford academic. He'd been listening to radio inserts all war, and yet they put him into Germany and Berlin to write the definitive intelligence report on the death of Hitler. Why they didn't put Scotland Yard in, or some of the best detectives of our time, I don't know.
However, I mean, there are other historians, Alan Bullock, of course, Hitler's biographer, and then more recently Sir Ian Kershaw, who say, look, the evidence that Hitler committed suicide and then his body in Eva Braun's was burnt, either as a result of deliberate action or by shell fire, the evidence is there. I mean, what weight of evidence have you got now to actually balance that argument?
I think it's likely that somebody died in the bunker, but I don't think it was Hitler. We have the testimony from a Warsaw court of the pilot who flew them out. He went to court in 1947, gave details of who he'd flown out, where he'd flown from, and where he flew them to. The judge in Warsaw at the time thought, you really are joking, you have to be, so sent him away for psychological testing. 6 months later, they brought him back into court, and he said exactly the same thing. He was extremely detailed. We have the testimony from an SS officer on the ground in Denmark who saw the plane arrive, and Hitler and Eva Braun get out with other passengers. We have what I think is an overwhelming amount of evidence that shows that Adolf Hitler survived. Got to Argentina. His daughter later joined them there.
Now there is the interesting fact, the daughter, and therefore you've got DNA evidence. Has that actually been pursued to try and provide some concrete evidence that might stand up in a criminal trial, for instance?
I think, well, there can't be any criminal trial. I mean, Hitler was never even accused of anything. He was dead.
Well, although he was the world's greatest criminal.
I know, amazing, really. I think the two daughters are still alive. One was born in Argentina at the end of 1945, and one was born in Germany, possibly Italy, in 1938, and came out to join them later. There are numerous reports that Eva Braun was pregnant in the bunker before they left. To try and go after these people, or to go after the children of these people, and over 30,000 Nazis and fascists escaped to Latin America after the war. I don't know whether it's really our job or my job. It's the history, you know, the children and sins.
If the evidence was there, why haven't the Nazi hunters, Wiesenthal and his like, actually gone down this trail before?
I think
because it's been so well hidden.
That's a really good question. You have to remember that Argentina was pretty much a fascist dictatorship until the early 80s.
Peron was supported, of course, by the Nazis.
Well, we have evidence that is presented in the book that both Peron and Eva were Nazi spies from 1941 in the PAEBAD, the military intelligence organization of the Nazis. I don't know why people didn't go after them. one, he was dead, so I suppose, why bother? And secondly, it took almost 11.5 years for the Americans to find bin Laden. And they knew he was alive, and they knew where he was. And, it took them a long time to find him.
And would the argument be that even though he might be alive, it's more convenient for them to actually just establish the fact that he is dead?
I think a deal was done in 1944, early 1945, to get Martin Bormann, Adolf Hitler, and Gestapo Müller out of Germany. And the deal was done with senior members of the American intelligence services and a very few industrialists who knew this was going on as well.
To what? To get their hands on rocket technology and
in part, yes. But I also think that the Americans, or these Americans, saw the Cold War coming, and they thought that it may be very handy to have the Nazi leadership in place as a bulwark against the Soviet Union. Of course, when they found out what these murdering swine had done and the extent of the Holocaust, you couldn't work with them anymore.
And therein lies my next question. Are you prepared for the furore that this is likely to encounter in terms of people saying that you are rewriting history, you're ignoring the Holocaust, that you are making this man into a hero, etc., etc.?
No. Well, one, the man isn't a hero. He dies demented, tormented, and betrayed in Argentina. His wife has left him. Bormann has dismissed him from history. There is no Holocaust denial in this. These were the worst, most evil, murdering criminal gang in history. And the thing that makes me angry more than anything else is that so many of them were allowed to escape, including Adolf Hitler. I've been a journalist a very long time.
Can I just challenge it? So not escaped as a matter of accident, but were allowed to escape.
We're allowed to escape.
Different story altogether.
We're allowed to escape with a huge amount of the money that they'd stolen and raped from Europe, with incredible patents, with shares in companies. And they set up almost 700 front companies overseas to when they left.
You've talked about the evidence you looked at with the Americans. What about the Russians? Have you actually balanced that? Because, of course, they were the ones closest to actually getting to it.
It's interesting. The BBC reporter that was embedded with the Russian forces, or the Soviet forces, actually arrived at the bunker, Thomas Cadet. He was a great reporter, Paris bureau chief before the war. Cadet, when he got there with the Russians, said they'd been handed 6 doubles of Hitler, and none of them were actually Hitler. And he says in his report, which was aired on the BBC at the time from a senior correspondent, that there was no proof at all that Adolf Hitler's body was found at the bunker. Stalin always said he'd escaped to Spain or Argentina, and it's now been proved the skull fragment that the Russians hold, the FSB hold in Moscow, is female and 40, so it can't even be Eva Braun. And then people say, well, the jawbone has got to be Hitler's. Well, if it came from the same skull, how can it be?
History tells us that the insane Adolf Hitler committed suicide in a bunker in Berlin in 1945 with his wife, Eva. Rumours abounded about a daughter, Uschi, and a son, although there is no evidence for their existence. Eva Braun's brother-in-law, SS General Hermann Fegelein, was reported executed after being court-martialed in Berlin at the fall. No sunken U-boats have yet been found in Argentina. History also tells us that Martin Bormann, known as the Brown Eminence, and the man who Hitler said he needed to win the war, died in Berlin trying to escape in 1945. And that his body was found in 1972 and confirmed by German government DNA analysis in 1998. History does not tell us that Adolf Hitler lived in Argentina with his wife Eva and their children. But these people, all of whose testimony is real, swear that it's true. Carmen Torrentugui looked after him, his family and friends at the Estancia San Ramon in 1945. Olga Müller and numerous other people saw him and Eva at the Hotel Vienna in Mar Chiquita and elsewhere in Cordoba province in 1946. In 2008 she was told the Gestapo by the Eichhorn family in Cordoba, at La Falda and Pan Azucar. She would take phone calls from him until 1962. Mafalda Batinic saw him for the second time in her life in 1951 at a clinic in Comodoro Rivadavia. The first time had been in France in 1940. Hernan Ansin met him in Mar del Plata 5 times in 1953 when he worked for the Croatian Ustashi monster Ante Pavelic. Pablo Glocknik, a former Graf Spee sailor, was part of his security detail from 1946 to 1962. Dr. Otto Lehmann was his personal physician during the same period. The man who allegedly led Hermann Fegelein's court-martial, SS General Wilhelm Monk, says the last time he saw him he was alive and well. Fegelein's father said he would often call after the war to say he and the Fuhrer were in Argentina and fine. Alicia Oliveira, a senior Buenos Aires lawyer, tells us she has met Hitler's daughter. In 2008, Captain Manuel Monasterio, who recorded Pablo and Dr. Lehmann's testimonies, received death threats as a result of our research. Martin Bormann arrived in Argentina in 1948. Pablo saw him at Inalco. Jorge Colotto met him in 1955 when Juan Domingo Perón greeted his long-term friend and paid his hotel bill in Buenos Aires. Araceli Mendez worked for him in Buenos Aires and spent almost 3 years rebuffing his advances. She kept pictures of him. The Argentine Federal Police kept a file on Bormann, much of which was burnt in the 1960s, but documents remain, which we have, and prove he and his lover Alicia Magnus stayed at the Plaza Hotel. At least 30,000 Nazis, Ustashi, Croatia's bloodthirsty animals led by Ante Pavelic, and other European fascists fled to South America after the war. They were helped by the Perons, the Catholic Church, the Red Cross, and KLM under Prince Bernhard of the Netherlands. Adolf Hitler, the worst and most evil criminal of the 20th century, often used the alias Mr. Wolf. The name Adolf comes from the High German for noble wolf. His first mistress called him Wolf, and it was as Herr Wolf that he was introduced to Eva Braun. Hitler's yacht was called the Sea Wolf, and his personal plane the Flying Wolf. His field headquarters in East Prussia, the Ukraine and France all had the word wolf in the title. But Hitler escaped to Argentina, and it was there, 17 years after his alleged suicide in Berlin, at 3 p.m. on the 13th of February 1962, tormented, demented, and betrayed, the most evil man of the 20th century finally died. We were lied to. Hitler sightings seem to surface all over Western Europe.
One Nazi pilot tells of spiriting his leader to Denmark. Other reports claim Hitler is disguised as a shepherd in the Alps.
A shepherd. Whoa.
This is this guy.
conversation. No, are you ever taking care of the baby? Damn it. Yeah. Yeah.
Fucking ashtray.
They attacked somebody, so no, you're good. Yeah, I appreciate it. Yeah, they attacked an employee at the hotel. Let nature run its course. Yes. Yes. Of course they are. No, it's not. There's one for you. Fill out everything that you told me, alright? Here you go. Fill this out for me, everything that you saw and heard and everything that happened, alright? If you need to, flip it over on the back. But I need that as soon as possible. In the hallway? I don't think so. I'm gonna talk to them. Please let me do my investigating, okay? Okay. Alright. I found some after you disappeared. I'm gonna give you some copies for you. That's just the old one. Here, I'll give you one before I forget so you can make copies. Oh, she make copies? No. That way, when you go at it, you got one. Make copies of.
Fuck. Damn it.
Everything. If you need to go over to the back and continue writing, you can. Each part of the from take mine. Okay, so what happened in the lobby? So immediately I just called the police. I'm like, let's get a description. We are standing right here. The young man in the blue jacket, he was standing here talking to one of my other managers, trying to tell her what was going on. So then Antoine was like, hey, what happened? So he steps in and he's like, you don't know me? And he starts yelling and like kind of aggressively like walking towards Antoine and was like, look, you know, not in this. So I'm on the phone with the police and I'm describing the operator. I'm describing to the operator and he's, you know, yelling. He's like, I'm just trying to explain my side of the story. If I didn't do anything wrong, then you need to let me go. And, you know, while you're telling him what I'm wearing, tell him I got $3 million worth of diamonds on my body. Okay. So he's still yelling. He even comes towards me and he's like, I didn't do anything wrong. You need to let me go to my room. Go to your room. So I send him back upstairs that way. I can have you guys take care. That's essentially okay. Right. I told you. You can't talk to everybody in here. You can't walk up to everybody and talk to them about what happened.
You know what I'm saying? Is it against my rights to talk to somebody about it?
Yeah, because this is my... Yeah, no, you can't. So, I need you to just leave.
I'm staying here.
Aren't you checking out? Don't you have all your luggage? Aren't you leaving?
I have to wait for the ride as well, though.
Okay, well then have a seat over
I
there.
guess I'm about to get off since no one's on. I'll get on a little bit later then.
Yeah, you can walk right over there.
Right now, they're letting you stay inside the hotel to wait for your ride. You could be asked to wait across the street in the cold. Okay? So, it doesn't matter at this point.
Yeah, I just need
I don't know. Alright guys, I'll be on a little bit later. I'm gonna take a nap.
Thank you for your time. We appreciate it.
Alright, peace.